When people think of someone with an exceptionally high IQ, they often imagine a genius cracking impossible formulas or a person who can multiply 738 by 482 mentally before anyone has time to blink. However, genuine intelligence rarely presents itself that way. In reality, many individuals with very high IQs don't attract attention in obvious ways. They may appear quiet, slightly absent-minded, or occasionally stare off into the distance as if their mind has temporarily disconnected from the conversation. Yet when you observe them carefully, recurring patterns start to emerge, small behaviors that appear repeatedly. Interestingly, many of these habits don't seem remarkable at first glance, but from a psychological perspective, they reveal a very different way of processing the world. Here are 10 habits that frequently appear among people with exceptionally high IQs. Habit 1. They spend significant time thinking. People with high IQs often devote long stretches of time simply to thinking, not always about anything particular. At times they're examining concepts, at other times replaying past interactions. To outside observers, they may look distracted, but internally their mind is constantly exploring relationships between ideas. For them, thinking itself functions almost like a form of entertainment. Habit 2. They ask unconventional questions. Highly intelligent individuals tend to challenge ideas that most people never stop to examine. Rather than asking what something is, they often wonder why it exists at all. They question assumptions that everyone else accepts without hesitation. For example, someone may say, "That's just the way things are," and their immediate response is, "But what makes it that way?" This tendency often helps them recognize patterns others never notice, although it can also turn an ordinary discussion into an unexpected philosophical conversation. Habit 3. They appreciate solitude. Many highly intelligent people genuinely enjoy spending time alone because solitude provides room for their thoughts to develop without constant interruptions or external stimulation. It allows them to explore ideas at a deeper level. For them, silence isn't dull. In fact, it's often where their most fascinating insights emerge. Habit 4. They revise their opinions readily. A notable characteristic of intelligent individuals is their willingness to admit when they're mistaken. When new evidence becomes available, they don't feel compelled to protect outdated beliefs. Instead, they adjust their understanding accordingly. Psychologists refer to this as cognitive flexibility. Naturally, this can sometimes confuse others because they may express one viewpoint today and a different one a few days later. Not because they're inconsistent, but because they've encountered information that changed their perspective. Habit 5. They detect subtle details. People with extremely high IQs frequently notice things that escape other people's attention. Minor inconsistencies, hidden structures, or tiny details in conversations and behavior. Their mind naturally links separate pieces of information together, which is incredibly useful for solving problems. The downside is that they sometimes notice details they didn't really need to notice, such as realizing midway through a conversation that someone has contradicted themselves several times. Once they notice it, their brain keeps returning to it. Habit 6. They often feel mentally restless. Highly intelligent individuals tend to become bored more quickly than most people. This isn't because they're difficult to entertain, but because their mind constantly seeks new stimulation. Once something becomes predictable, their interest can disappear rapidly. This mental restlessness often drives them toward new topics and ideas. As a result, many intelligent people accumulate surprisingly specific knowledge about subjects such as ancient civilizations, astrophysics, or why octopuses may be more intelligent than we typically assume. Habit 7. They enjoy difficult challenges. While many people prefer to avoid complex problems, highly intelligent individuals are often attracted to them. Their brain approaches difficult challenges as if they were puzzles waiting to be solved. Instead of feeling intimidated, they become curious. Every new piece of information feels like another clue. Of course, this also means they sometimes spend an entire hour solving a problem nobody actually asked them to solve. Nevertheless, their mind enjoys the challenge. Habit 8. They tend to overanalyze. One lesser-known consequence of high intelligence is a tendency toward overthinking. Since their mind naturally examines multiple possibilities, they often evaluate far more outcomes than necessary. A simple choice, such as sending a message, can quickly become a lengthy internal debate. Should it be sent now? Perhaps later? Maybe the wording isn't ideal. What if it's misunderstood? Several minutes later, the message remains unsent while their mind has already explored numerous possible social scenarios. Habit 9. They are comfortable with uncertainty. Highly intelligent people are generally more willing to admit when they don't know something. Rather than rushing towards simple explanations, they are comfortable remaining uncertain. They recognize that many questions lack straightforward answers. They also understand that some of the most valuable discoveries emerge when you continue exploring without forcing a conclusion. This is why intelligent people often say, "I don't know yet," a phrase that many others seem reluctant to use. Habit 10. They never stop learning. Perhaps the most universal habit among people with exceptionally high IQs is curiosity. Their mind is naturally drawn toward learning because acquiring new understanding is deeply rewarding. For them, learning isn't a chore. It's more like opening another door in a building that seems to contain an endless number of rooms. However, it's important to remember that high intelligence doesn't automatically make life easier. In many cases, highly intelligent people struggle with overthinking, restlessness, or feeling mentally disconnected from those around them. Intelligence isn't simply about solving problems. It's about having a mind that continuously searches for patterns, concepts, and possibilities. Sometimes that curiosity makes the world endlessly fascinating, and at other times it can be surprisingly exhausting, especially when your brain decides to start analyzing everything precisely when you're trying to fall asleep.